Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Prog Report podcast interview. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. And hopefully you got a chance to see our Prog from Home concert that aired on May 9th. If you're listening to this podcast significantly after May 9th, the show is available on our Prog Report YouTube channel. Just search up Prog from Home, and you'll see a great show, which actually features the act that we're interviewing here today, at least part of the band. Haken, Charlie Griffiths, and Ross Jennings appeared on the Prog from Home concert doing a cover of Queen's Is This the World We Created, which is beautiful. And also Ross's band Novena appears on the podcast as well, doing a track called Sundance. But on this podcast, which we recorded about a month ago, but is only airing now, I'm speaking with Rich Henshall and Charlie Griffiths, the two guitar players from the band, on their upcoming album Virus, which comes out on June 5th. How you guys doing today? What's going on?
All good. Cool. Easter festivities. Just made some chocolate eggs.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even know what day it is.
It's crazy.
Every day's Easter.
You know what's funny? I mean, if you remember back to just a month ago when I saw you guys in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I asked you guys, it was sort of just coming around here on the news, the virus thing and what's going to happen, but nothing was canceled yet. And I remember we talked about if the cruise would still happen or whatever. And we all seemed like, who knows? It seemed like the cruise could even still happen, which was only a couple weeks from then, you know, and man, if things didn't explode a week later, I mean, it's unbelievable to think back.
Yeah, man, it's just how, we were kind of blinkered, I guess, by what we're told in the media, I suppose. That's what it boils down to. It's...
So what happened on the... while you were on tour, what sort of happened? When did you find out the news that it was over, that it was cut short? And what was the scramble like to ship your gear back and get back home? I mean, how'd that all come down?
It was all very sudden, actually. We were in Nashville and we were hanging out with our old sound guy, Jerry, and we went out for the night and we were completely oblivious to everything. And I think we were in a bar somewhere and we saw a post about the show in San Francisco being cancelled. So we checked it out and it'd all been cancelled. I think all the shows above like 500 capacity had been cancelled in California at that point. So we were like, okay, this is a bit worrying. But then we just didn't really think much of it. And then the next morning, we got a text or a message on WhatsApp saying, the whole tour's cancelled, just out of the blue. We weren't really ready for it at all. So we had to just suddenly make all these plans and fly back the following day. So it was all very manic and a sudden end to the tour.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it was such a good tour. I mean, I caught one of the last shows and you guys went over amazing. The Contortionists were great as well, and Devin is always great. What a great show for everybody to see. And sorry, it's one of thousands that were canceled, so it is what it is. But
yeah, we were having a great time. It was all going swimmingly.
Yeah, at that time, you were getting ready to announce what is now the new album coming out called Virus, which had to have been on your minds. That here you have this album you've been working on for 2 years. You knew the concept from a long time ago, had nothing to do with anything, and all of a sudden you have this on your hands. So that must have been weird as you were leading up to the first announcement.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh man, it's like we kind of. Of course, this, the concept of the album is just like a metaphor. We kind of had using kind of the virus and the kind of terminology around it and the kind of science behind it as a kind of metaphor for what's going on in this guy's mind. So it's not really anything specifically to do with an actual virus.
Right.
So we were just kind of using it like metaphorically, but then of course, now it's kind of so prominent in everyone's minds and in the news and you can't go through a day without hearing about it. So it just puts a whole new inflection on on what we've done. You know, it's like,
yeah.
whether it's good or bad, I don't know. You know,
Well, I don't think, from what I've seen, I mean, I don't think you have gotten any backlash or anything from it. I mean, you know, I don't think people are reading too much into it, really, from what I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I mean, it's just like a kind of bizarre coincidence,
Yeah,
but
totally.
you know, there's more important things to worry about.
You know what I think we should do real quick? Should actually introduce your voices so people know who's talking. So let me just make sure everybody, we as people are listening, we know who's who. So Richard, why don't you say hi?
Hello, this is Richard from Haken.
And Charlie, who we have as well.
Hello. I have a completely different voice, as you can hear.
Yeah. Even though we're both from South London.
So, well, okay. So let's actually get back to the new album. Comes out June 5th. You released the first single, "Prosthetic," which is just a monster single. It's out now and it's doing really, really well. Go back to you know, you released Vector a couple years ago. Did you have the concept already back then that this was going to be, you know, sort of a sequel or 2-part release? Were some ideas already written that you were saving? How did this all sort of, you know, come together?
Yeah, I mean, shall I go? I never know who's going to who's going to answer.
Yeah, just decide.
Like, yeah, I mean, actually, we had the idea of like the 2-album thing before Vector. You know, it was like going into Vector, we kind of had the idea that it was going to be a kind of complete, almost like a double album, but kind of writing it as 2 separate albums kind of thing. So it was, yeah, since then we had the idea of like Vector and Virus. And so, yeah, I mean, after we'd finished Vector, we did have some ideas, like kind of beginnings of ideas for songs for the second album. You know, we had certain sections that we kind of didn't fully develop on Vector that we kind of saved, you know, until we had more time to do it. And, you know, until it, you know, sometimes it's just not the right time for an idea. You know, you have to kind of save it up for later.
Is this why the albums are, I don't want to say short, but they're not like the full, you know, like 75 minutes. They're both around like 45, 50. Was that sort of intentional to keep them like that length when you were putting these out?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't really too conscious about the lengths as we were writing the albums, but it just came about that way. I think Virus is a little bit longer than Vector, but yeah, the main focus was just writing an album that we're all happy with. It just turned out that way. But back to what Charlie was saying, we had the song Kneel by Mouth on Vector, and that was initially around about 11 minutes from what I remember. But when we were listening back to the demo, it was just way too much and too intense because the song's quite full on throughout. So we thought we'd save some of like these really cool riffs that we had at the end of the old demo version. We thought we'd save them for Virus, and that actually formed like a whole bunch of ideas in the final song of Virus, the Messiah Complex. So yeah, we had a few ideas that we just wanted to save for the finale, I guess, of our second album. But yeah, I think it's a really exciting album as far as we're concerned. Probably some of the most exciting stuff we've ever written as a band.
I agree. I mean, I've had a chance to hear it now, and it's just it's so good. I mean, the Messiah Complex thing is just gonna knock people off their seats. It's really tremendous. Speaking of Nil by Mouth, I mean, that's become a really a big fan favorite track. I mean, live, it's just amazing, and it's one of my favorite songs you guys have ever done. Just something about it, the energy in that song. You just want to punch something after you listen to it.
I think like us, maybe not Ross so much, because it's a shame that he's not on stage with us whilst we're playing it.
I know, and you know, it's funny to say.
Yeah, he's backstage punching things. That's where it is.
Drinking tea and punching the wall.
No, I feel bad almost saying that because I love Ross's voice and how he sings and the stuff that you guys do, but something about that song is just so unique and just so killer, man. It's and live it just goes down so well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all love playing it. It's definitely one of my favorites to play. We played it on the whole of the Europe run with Devin Townsend. Then we played it on the US run, which got cut short. But yeah, it's always a really, really fun part of the set to play. And it's got some of the heaviest riffs we've ever written as a band, so that's always fun to do live.
Yeah. There's something about the new direction, I guess maybe we'll call it, of these two records that seems to focus more maybe on, I guess, rhythmic sort of stuff rather than the soloing and that sort of more traditional prog stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I correct in saying that in the approach of the music?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think we kind of focus more on the kind of riffs nowadays, and we don't, I suppose we tend to only put solos in when they're kind of necessary, like on Vector there's hardly any solos, I think.
Yeah.
On Virus there's 4 guitar solos, I think.
Yeah, I think we've got 2
right.
each throughout the
2
album.
each, yeah.
Yeah, that seems a bit different, but it still ends up being really technical in a completely different way.
But so solos are the kind of almost like the last thing we would think of for a section. It's like sometimes chord progression or a section is just crying out for solos.
Right.
But I guess just like over more recently we haven't written stuff that kind of wants a solo. So it's just naturally part of the writing style we're doing at the moment.
How much does the production that Nolly brings to this influence any of the writing? Because that's the other thing about these two albums, that the production is just insane. It's the loudest sort of bassy, crazy, energy coming out of the speakers from it, and he has a unique talent for making that sound. Does that make you write in a different way or emphasize those heavy, 7-string riffs or anything special in that regard?
What do you think, Rich?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say, firstly, Nolly is a complete animal when it comes to mixing. The first album, Vector, Charlie and I went to a studio, and from what I remember, he was just drinking this tea with honey in it and just like chatting to us and just kind of mastering this like amazing mix at the same time. It was incredible to see him in action and just for us to be able to be there and do stuff like reamping all of our guitar tones through all of his like crazy amplifiers. All of that was an incredible experience. But in terms of the writing, I think we just write the music that we want to play, and then we think like, who's the guy that can make this really come to life? And so when we were writing like the ideas for Vector and Virus, he was just the guy that we just knew he would be able to do it justice, and he really did. Like I'm really happy with how it's sounding. Just the guitar tones, especially, are really cool. We ran what did we run it through the Friedman? Do you remember the episode of the Friedman, Charlie?
Yeah. It's called it's an amp called the Friedman HBE, which stands for Hairy Brown Eye. Which is That's true.
That's actually the guitar synth model that we actually use through our Axe FX units when we play live.
Yeah, so we've been using like a virtual version of that for years. So this time we actually got to use the real one.
Yeah, so you guys haven't had actual amps on stage forever, right?
Nah.
Yeah, that's so cool, and it sounds incredible. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we can get the same tone every night. We don't have to mic anything up. There's no like bleeding on the stage, and also we can just carry it around in a laptop case and fly anywhere. It's just totally incredible that you can do that nowadays. And like you say, the tone sounds just like a tube amp, so why not?
Are you guys still using both using the Kiesel, or is that the brand?
I do. Rich uses Strandberg.
That's right.
Yeah, they're quite similar looking guitars. Kiesel do a bunch of guitars, but they have headless guitars, and Strandberg have only headless guitars. So they're quite similar in terms of their branding.
Yeah. What makes those guitars special for your sound versus some of the other ones that are maybe more the Gibsons, Fenders, things like that? What I know you guys have used these for a long time. What's special about these brands for you?
Well, I mean, firstly, we use like 8-string guitars for like the entire set, and I think it's really, he sort of came from like flying shows and stuff like that, whereas like we wanted to, so if we had to go and fly to India like we have done for one day, and play a show, then fly back the next day, it's like you want to be totally kind of self-contained, so it's like Rich was saying, we can take our kind of fractal foot pedals in a laptop bag, and because our guitars are headless, they kind of fit in a kind of case that's looks just slightly bigger than a tennis racket. So like you can take it on the plane and put it in the overhead, and don't have to worry about checking. When you have to check things in, it's like so nerve-wracking. You don't know if it's even going to arrive at the other end. So
right.
it's so I think that's kind of why we started doing it. It was like we want to be totally self-contained and like, be able to carry everything we're going to need for the show, and it just became the thing, like 8-string headless guitars.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. No, it makes things a lot easier, and you're able to do all these different kind of shows, and you bring on less gear, and you've really streamlined touring in 2020, which has got to had made this way more affordable for you guys to do what you do.
Yeah, I think we're just constantly thinking of ways we can streamline our whole setup. So we now have a unit where we have all of our in-ears running through this box on stage, and we can control it. We can control the levels from our phones, even, and iPads.
Wow.
It's crazy. So we can turn up the kick drum, for example, if a certain venue is just not working for us. So yeah, stuff like that is with each tour we do, we're just developing that and trying to ultimately get that perfect setup.
So that limits you pointing to the house guy in the back, making these faces and with your fingers and stuff, that you don't need to worry about that anymore.
No, we're just trying to get full control on stage, and just leave our sound guy Adam. Just want to leave him to do his job of making us sound good from the front of the stage, and then we're just in charge for the most part of controlling our sound on stage.
That's really cool. I haven't heard of these kind of things that you guys are doing. I haven't heard a lot of bands doing that. That's pretty cool. Or maybe they are, but not something that's been talked about to me very much. So I want to get back to the album a little bit. Again, Virus comes out June 5th. How was the writing different for this one, or has it evolved at all? I mean, I know, Rich, you used to write the majority of stuff in the beginning. Now it's maybe more band writing together. Are you guys sending files? Are you rewriting in a room? Do you meet up in a studio? What happened?
It's definitely evolved a lot. And over the last maybe like 3 albums, we've been like working really well as a team. We've got this online space. I think we use Hightail is the name of the online space we use. And we just share projects. So we all use Logic Audio, which is a program for like writing and recording music. And we just share these projects with each other. One person might take a project, then add a few ideas and send it back until we're kind of happy with like a rough blueprint or an arrangement of a song. And what we did on this album, Virus, we actually had a whole month when we were together on the bus on the Devin Townsend tour. So we just, before and after every show, we just spent like hours just working on refining these arrangements and making sure all the vocals and the lyrics all work within the arrangements. And yeah, that was quite a fun process actually. We've never done that so intensively together in one room for a whole month, so it was really cool.
With the way you guys the gear that you use and not having the amps and all that kind of stuff, were you able to even record parts of the album on the bus with laptops and just do that?
I don't think we actually used it. I mean, we kind of basically set the bus lounge up as a kind of makeshift recording studio. So that was where we had kind of like Ross had a mic set up, and we could record guitars to demo ideas and stuff like that. So we kind of more or less really recorded the entire album in demo form on the bus. And then I don't think any of that actually made it to the final album. But
so you still go to a studio afterwards and do it the more
Well, the way it
traditional
worked was, well, we kind of all the guitars, bass, and keyboards are done at home. So like really, all you require these days is a laptop and like Logic and a audio interface, And so the way we do it is we record our guitars like direct into the computer, and then really what you're recording is just like a dry guitar signal. So there's, you've got like software amps you can switch on and off. And so that dry signal then we give to Nolly, who then we go to his place and we do what's called reamping. So everything that we've recorded at home, we play it through a real amp. So you're sort of getting the best of both worlds. You can sit at home and spend the time getting the takes you want, but you're not spending loads of money in a studio. You can basically get the perfect takes and then take them to Nolly's studio and then run everything through an amp, and it will sound just like it would if you sat in an expensive studio for months.
That's awesome.
But and drums are done in you have to kind of do it in a traditional studio,
right?
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of worked like that. It was like we wrote and demoed everything on the Devon European tour. We got home over the kind of Christmas and New Year period, recorded everything for real, and then we basically our deadline for recording everything was basically imposed because we had the US tour coming up. So we had everything finished before the US tour. Rich and I managed to go up to Nolly's for a day to kind of discuss tones and approaches and whatnot. And then a couple of days later, we flew to the US and did the US tour. And then meanwhile, Nolly was mixing and sending us mixes, and it was kind of written and demoed on the European tour and then mixed on the US tour.
That's it's very cool and really really amazing way to do it. The Messiah Complex thing, which is the 5-part epic, that sort of is the second half of the record. I don't want to give too much away on that, but so we'll leave the surprises and things in there. But was that something that was a long time coming? That part? I mean, was that sort of the focus of this album when you started this record?
I mean, that song is probably like the hardest song we've ever written. So I'm looking forward to kind of digging in, trying to learn.
It's pretty crazy.
There's some like crazy sections on there. Like I was saying, we had some ideas from Vector that we were saving, especially for this album. And then it was actually Ray who started kind of penciling some ideas for this one. So you could probably tell when you listen to it, it's very rhythmic in certain sections.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of catalyst that started things, and we kind of grew it from there. But and we were just adding stuff over time throughout the whole process. The whole album took around about maybe, I don't know, like 8 months to kind of wrap up. And then throughout the whole process, we were just working on this one. And then, God, it's gonna be crazy trying to play it live. But probably one of my favorite songs that we've done. So can't wait for people to hear that.
I love the first part of it, the Ivory Tower, the hook in that, the chorus is just so great. That's probably the first part when I was listening to it that I got hooked on that real fast.
Cool.
These hooks, we go around in circles for months trying to get that perfect hook. Sometimes it comes naturally, but I remember that one, we had loads of different versions of this chorus. Yeah. And then we all kind of just knew that when that hook came, that was the final one.
Because that's really the important thing. Like once you've got a good chorus, then you've got a song. That's kind of how we think about it. So that one, that's good to hear, because as Rich said, we had like 3 or 4 different vocal melodies and kind of lyrics that we tried out over that chorus. And
wow,
it was and it's sometimes like you sort of write something like and you're kind of sure about it, like, this is it. This is definitely the hook. This is the hook, you know. And then you listen back a couple of days later, and it's like nothing. It doesn't hit you in the same way anymore. So you just have to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
But it was definitely, you know, it was like we were kind of sitting in the bus lounge, just kind of passing the mic around, you know, and it was like everyone had to go at singing, you know, ideas over different sections, you know, for the whole album. It was that was a really fun process to do, you know, everyone kind of saying like, "What about this?" and then just kind of singing something, and then.
That's pretty cool. That's interesting. You guys haven't done it like that before.
Well, I think we've kind of done it from home before, so we'd like get an idea and just sing it, record it into our project, and send it to the other guys. But because we were all together, we were just doing it together in the room. I just felt like there was definitely more emphasis on getting that perfect chorus line on this album, and it was like Charlie said, it was really fun, and everyone had a go. So there's definitely all of our writing on the album, which is really, really good fun.
That's cool. How much of sort of, I guess, debate or sort of going back and forth on parts is just between the two of you, being the guitar players, where you sit by yourselves and break down, okay, I'm going to play this during the verse. This verse will play the same thing, or maybe I'll play an octave, or I mean, how much of that is between just the two of you on what you guys play?
I don't think we really discuss it too much. It's just, I suppose we're just sort of more thinking about the sort of overall picture of the song, and what it requires rather than what the guitars are specifically doing. You know, of course, like we'll have a riff sometimes, and sometimes it will be like, okay, well, here's where both guitars need to play the riff. And, you know, give the keyboard space, or, you know, the bass can do something else there. Or you know, sometimes it will be, you know, like certain songs where Rich will kind of take the reins more, you know, like, Canary Yellow, for example. Like, well, Rich really kind of layered up most of the guitars on that song. And then, you know, when we come to play it live, then we'll figure out, you know, okay, you do that part, I'll do this part. You know, so, and there's other songs where I'll kind of do most of it. And
I guess it's like, it feels quite intuitive sometimes. We don't, like Charlie said, we don't really sit down and actually talk through it. I remember there was one time we were playing, I think it was our first ever clinic. We played in Guitar in Camden. And we got there, and we suddenly realised we haven't actually worked out who's playing what. And this was the first time we were playing these songs from Vector, and we played, I think it was Puzzle Box.
Yeah, the Good Doctor.
Good Doctor. We hadn't even discussed it, but luckily we just kind of knew who was going to play what, and we just went down.
We could just kind of assume like this kind of part. Rich will probably play that. So I'll do the other part.
That's good. I mean, it sounds like it would come sort of naturally for you guys at this point. It makes sense. What's going on with you guys now? I mean, you can't worry about when a tour is going to happen or what's going to be going on, and I'm sure getting this album out and promoting it is sort of a challenge now. You know, there's you can still do the regular, you know, phone interviews and stuff like that, but what else is sort of on the horizon, and you know, what do you know and what do you not know, I suppose, much like everybody else?
I think we were kind of lucky that we got all of the material down and ready, all the promo stuff like videos, all of it's pretty much in place, and the artwork and the master, all of it was kind of there just before we heard this announcement that everything's going into lockdown. Yeah. So we're kind of lucky in that respect that we had it all good to go.
Yeah, like we actually did the video for Prosthetic in Boston.
Yeah.
On a day off on the Devon tour. Just so luckily we kind of slotted it in near the beginning of the tour. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had a video, you know. So it was.
That was like 5 days before we ended the tour, I think. And then Vicente, the guy who did the video for us, he did a lot of the kind of storyline stuff a week later, and that must have been just a few days before everything went into lockdown. Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of lucky in that respect. So we've got all of that. We're going to be releasing over the next couple of months until we release the album. But we're just trying to think of ways we can keep in touch with the fans on social media. We've recently set up a Twitch account, and we did a Q&A a couple of days ago, and we're going to try and do another one tonight, actually, after this interview. It was good fun, actually, last time. So we're going to try and keep doing that quite regularly, and maybe releasing little songs that we've made in the meantime. So we just don't know when we're going to get back to touring. So we'll keep active.
Yeah. Are you guys discovering, other bands or music to listen to? Or you going through maybe some albums you hadn't had a chance to hear? What are you doing this to sort of pass the time?
Well, we both got children. And
there you go. Enough said. Yeah.
And schools are closed down, so we've got to basically act like teachers. We're homeschooling our children at the moment, which is taking most of our time. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's a challenge to keep them busy all day for sure.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, always good chatting with you. I love the band. I love everything you guys do, and
we love you too, man.
This album is certainly incredible. Everybody's gonna love it. Again, Virus, June 5th. And you know what? You might listen. A lot of people are pushing releases, not putting out stuff. There's not a lot out there. This might be a good thing for people to listen to the record. Give them something to do. I don't know.
We've got time to do it, so hopefully they'll like it. You never know.
Well, they definitely will.
Pretty excited actually to get it out there. Yeah. Feels like probably our most cohesive album.
You know what's funny? I like my favorite stereo. I don't know if you guys do this too, but I always test things by the car, and go driving. You can listen as loud as you want and all of that. So, and it occurred to me yesterday I went for a drive for the first time in weeks. I haven't left the house. And,
it's the same.
You know what I mean? And so I finally I put this on and I blasted Prosthetic, and it's like, holy shit, this sounds good in the car. I mean,
it does sound good in the car. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think that's Nolly's test, actually, like that. He does the car test on all his mixes.
Yeah, I always found that's the way a lot of people do it, even when 100 years ago when I used to try and be in a band, we'd be in the studio and then we'd go listen in the car first. You had to first put it down to a CDR and then, see how it sounded, right?
Yeah.
Funny. All right, guys, be well. We'll talk soon.
Okay, take it easy, man.
All right, man. Bye.
Safe. Bye-bye.
Mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to Charlie and Rich for the interview. Don't forget to pick up their new album, Virus. It comes out on June 5th. For upcoming news and interviews, and please check theprogreport.com. Follow us on Facebook at The Prog Report on Twitter and Instagram. Download the podcast on iTunes. And don't forget to check out the Prog from Home concert on YouTube. Thanks.